Our long national nightmare in 2026 recruiting for the summer has fortunately come to an end, Cody, as we have a commitment hot off the presses here. Samari Matthews, the cornerback out of North Carolina, has committed to the Longhorns over the South Carolina Gamecocks. This was something that we kind of thought was coming down the pike after seeing him at the Rivals five-star. Alex Dunlap and Cody Carpentier here with you on Orange Bloods, brought to you by the Man Eye Institute. Make sure and give them a phone call today, 1-844-WOW-2020, 1-844-WOW-2020. It's look, we just had the 4th of July, and it's time for you to declare freedom from glasses and contacts with Next Level LASIK, only at Man Eye Institute. Man Eye Institute, see life better. They are our presenting sponsor here on Orange Bloods Live. Cody, Samari Matthews, your thoughts?
My first thought is it's been a long week, been a long 7 days since the last commitment from Mr. John Turntine, the great John Turntine from North Crowley. Samari Matthews, I'm a big fan. I mean, this is a longer, rangy cornerback consensus across the board right now. If you go to On3247, ESPN and Rivals, he's right around player 70 in the country, a low of 30, a high of 120, and right around cornerback 9 as a consensus. I love him. I think he's great. He's from North Carolina, from Howe in Cornelius, which is just north of Charlotte, about 6'1", 185 pounds. I think he's a physical defensive back that can kind of lay the wood and he can cover. I think he's got a great frame. I comp him to Sidney Jones coming out of Washington. Remember Sidney Jones? I mean, I think this guy is, from a physical maturity standpoint, a guy that we'll be able to look at as like a Cade Phillips or Kobe Black, where you're thinking about going into his first fall camp. Hey, can this guy play today? I think he can.
Yeah. My only exposure to him, to be completely honest, I have not even watched his huddle, but I did watch him closely at the Rivals five-star, and man, I think for one, I just really like him. I like the way he plays. I like the intensity that he plays with. I do believe that he is a player who, he's been told by the staff that they envision him as like a Jade Barron type with the versatility to maybe come in, play nickel, play outside, possibly even play safety. My deal was I saw him at the camp. Turning and running with guys, using his length, getting in their hip pocket, getting into his trail technique, and really being able to make up ground with what is sneaky good length, good speed,
good burst.
What I was a little bit concerned with some of the stuff when they had him lining up in the slot, going up against some of these tight ends and stuff like that. It feels like he's not as comfortable with that right now, and I'm not because I feel like he does have good change of direction, good burst. But he doesn't appear to me like the kind of player who's going to come in and just have that natural skill set right off the bat to say like, oh, well, this is a guy that we got to get in the slot, man. This is a dude who's going to just be a nightmare if, a wide receiver tries to get a two-way go on him in an option route. Like he wasn't necessarily showing off a skill set or a set of traits where I think that's what they're going to see out of him off the bat. I think what they're going to see is an outside corner, stick him out there, and let him develop in that way. And if down the road they might be able to use him, in those different ways as he kind of refines those parts of his skill set, that's fine. But I see guys going to come in and play corner.
My grading scale, a 7.00 is a 5-star, 6.9 and below goes down to the 4-star area. I got him right at exactly a 7.00. And the only cornerback I have ahead of him is Haven Finney, who's committed to LSU from Sierra Canyon, the teammate of Richard Wesley, who's a Texas commit. I like everything you said, but some of the notes that I had was that I thought he recovered well with burst if he has any missteps in the short field. He's a touch stiff in the lower quarter, and his long speed doesn't portray any blazing speed, although he does mirror high schoolers well downfield. But again, sometimes it's tougher to tell in high school what that really looks like, because sometimes these guys that are just athletic Adonises, especially the cornerback position, they're not exactly playing against, in a lot of situations, elite speed or elite talents at the wide receiver position. So sometimes it just looks a lot more easy, which I do think at times Samari Matthews makes it look very easy. The best trait I wrote down for him was just physicality and maturity. Those were the two things, like his definitive things that stood out to me.
Yeah, and you know that at a camp like the Rivals 5-star, he's going up against the alphas, and the alpha of all seasoning blends, of course, is our new custom spice blend, the Alpha Elite Spice Blend. It's a product that Cody and I put years of development into. We've devised a spice blend. Look at this giant product. You can go to alphaseasoning.com, get some for yourself. It's got we can't tell you what the ingredients are. It's a big secret, right? But it's got ingredients that you won't find in any other spice. It is great on everything, whether it's burgers, whether it's steaks, whether it's like deer. I love it on eggs. I put it on my sandwiches and stuff. It's that good. It's so if you want to support us, of course, make sure to support the Man Eye Institute, support Texas Beef Traders, support Poncho Outdoors. Those are our great sponsors. Get a membership on Orange Bloods, like the show, subscribe to the channel. But this is our baby. This is our business, and we just launched it this week. So we could use your support. Alphaseasoning.com. Get some of this in your hands. The weekend's coming up. You're going to want it for the grill. And the QR code's right there. Cody, another big news drop today. We got the 2025 roster release for the Texas Longhorns. So they put up the roster with all the new guys. Jack injuries, Emmett Mosley. Very interesting looking through it and seeing some of these updated heights and weights. There were two that kind of stuck out to me that I'll just throw off to you right now. And I don't have the roster pulled up, but whenever I looked at it, I did find it interesting. I believe that Justice Terry was weighing in at 268 is where they have him right now. And then the other one was Lance Jackson, who they have now at, I believe, 254. And to me, we had discussed before, it's like, all right, these guys, eventually we think they're going to maybe move inside. Certainly Justice Terry will. We thought that maybe that could be a possibility for Lance Jackson as well down the road. Certainly his brother Landon Jackson at SEC Media Days last year told us that could be an option down the road. By the way, the next time you see us, it will be from Atlanta at SEC Media Days. So super pumped for that. We'll be getting out to head to that event. And as my mic went out, we'll be heading to that event over the weekend. What do you think of this? Do you think that this means that Justice Terry this year? I think it's settled at 254. Lance Jackson's playing defensive end, and Colton Voss is going to maybe have a hard time overtaking him behind Ethan Burke at the strong side defensive end spot.
I was going to say, I think it's pretty clear that this defensive end room on both sides is the best in America. When you think of just overall talent, stars, etc., because you have to put Terry and Lance Jackson in that end room. And I have some notes in the defensive tackle group that I thought stood out too. But on top of it is like, yeah, you have Vosick and Burke, who didn't really gain or lose much weight at all. Burke is the exact same size as he was a year ago. Terry and Lance Jackson have to be looked at as defensive ends. I mean, they just have to at their current weight.
I think with Justice Terry, I just know that even during spring ball, they would have him play inside at the 3 tech sometimes. But when I'm hearing that, I'm not getting the context because we weren't.
Baron Sorrell played inside a little bit last year too.
Yeah. But I think it's mainly just in the dime package and stuff like that. I think it's in these packages where they take these dudes that generally play defensive end, and they exactly kind of like they did with Sorrell last year. They were moving down to 3 technique. They would only have one true defensive lineman there. They would have him playing nose. Usually Vernon Broughton, if it was dime, dollar, or NASCAR. I think that's how we'll see Justice Terry deployed if he's deployed anywhere, inside the tackle, because 268 is not. I think just our assumption that hey, what if he comes into fall camp and he weighs 290 and he's put on 20 pounds of good weight? Well, that didn't happen. So I think moving forward for him, what that tells us is Lance Jackson, he's a defensive end this year. He's got to have a camp battle with Colton Vosick. It's going to be very interesting to watch that because Vosick, as we know, was coming on towards the end of last season. And people forget about him that he was, he was a higher rated recruit than Ethan Burke. So same high school, same, it's like he was like coming out, Colton Vosick was thought of as kind of like a better version of Ethan Burke. So it'll be interesting to see how that thing plays out. And with Justice Terry as well, it's like, man, you start thinking how they going to even divvy up all these reps. You know, it's
They're earned. They're earned. That's exactly how they are. There's a lot of talent, and they expect both of these guys to come in and play on day one to some extent, and so they just have to earn it. That's just kind of what it is. I thought the notable one was Bo Barnes, the linebacker, who was listed at 230 on Rivals, and everyone was like, he's not 230. He's like 225, 244, 10 pounds lighter than Lance Jackson at 6'1" to play middle back. I thought that was an interesting one. Trey Wisner dropped 6 pounds, which we saw Baxter actually gain 7. He's up to 227.
What is Wise drop 6? That's not great. What is
Wisner's down to 194. My only thought there was that if that helps his speed at all, I think that would be massive. Baxter was the other one that gained weight, though. He gained 7 pounds. He was one of the biggest gainers on the roster. He was actually the biggest gainer. He gained 7 pounds up to 227. The other big gainer was Derek Williams, your guy at safety, who went from 195 to 201 year over year. My biggest note, though, like you brought up Lance Jackson and Justice Terry, when I looked at the defensive tackle group, first off, the whole roster a year ago, there's only 2 players over 340 pounds. It was Sadir Mitchell and Stroh. This year, there's 6. Sharma, Jordan Coleman, Brooks, Brevard, Shaw, and Stroh. But on the defensive tackle group last year, Alfred Collins was 320. The only one heavier than that played really was Bill Norton at 335 pounds. This year, we've talked about Cole Brevard and Travis Shaw, obviously. 346 for Cole Brevard, like definition of a fire plug.
I mean, he's like that. He's like an anvil, dude. 3-4. That's a really like a boulder. That's hard. That's gonna be hard to move, man.
He doesn't even, Josiah Sharma edges him out in BMI by 0.1. Josiah Sharma is 6'4", 356. But I didn't put him on you because I don't expect him to have like a big role. I just kind of put the 5 players 1 for 1 with last year's lineup. Norton 335, Collins 320 were the 2 biggest. This year it's Brevard at 346, Shaw at 342, then Murad Watson's at 313. You got Lavon Johnson at 311, and then Alex January, who's the lightest of those 5 at 308. He dropped 7 pounds from last year. And that's where that was the Vernon Broughton role last year.
I thought we got more that they want January playing at more like 315 to 320. Am I remembering that wrong?
I think the note was backwards, right? I think the note was that he was 315. They wanted him at 308. I can't remember.
Oh, that's
I think that was what it was.
I think you're right. So I mean, so Alex January's done exactly what they've wanted him to do, body wise.
A lot of these guys have like lost weight. I remember going back, I was looking at last year's post I made about the plus minus, and it was like a lot of dudes that had like gained 15 to 20 pounds or lost 15 to 20 pounds. Everybody that I went through, the whole roster was between like 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 pounds, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 pounds, everybody. Yeah. So it seems like the team's getting in shape, getting cut, getting lean, getting mean. The receiver room this is the last one I'll just rip really quickly. The receiver room last year, there's only 3 players on the whole roster that were 6'2" or taller. Wingo and Reese Beauchamp were both 6'2".
Reese
Parker, what did I say?
Reese Beauchamp. Oh, just people probably just like, well, all right.
But then Parker Livingston obviously at 6'4". This year, Hudson Powell, who's a walk-on. 6'6". Livingstone 6'4", Terry 6'3", 216, Wingo 6'2", 214, Emmett Mosley 6'2", 205, Kalik Lockett 6'2", 185. So we heard the news. We heard the thought about a year ago about how Sark wanted to recruit bigger. I mean, they doubled the amount of players on the roster at the wide receiver position that are 6'2" and taller. So they're definitely making a change at the position.
Well, they wanted to get bigger. We want Orange Bloods Live to get bigger, and it has been, man. A bunch of you guys have been subscribing. We can't thank you enough for that. We can't thank the Man Eye Institute enough for bringing you this show. Remember, Alpha Seasoning. Go get yours for the weekend. alphaseasoning.com. Thanks to Texas Beef Traders. Thanks to Poncho Outdoors. We will see you guys live from Atlanta.